Well, they've admitted it. In an Israeli newspaper, multiple Israeli officers and soldiers admit that they are doing a Squid Games at humanitarian aid distribution sites in Gaza. Palestinian journalists like Abd Sabah, who put together this footage, have been telling us that they're doing a Squid Games. But if you're someone who only believes in war crimes when you hear them straight from the war criminal's mouth, here's one soldier saying, "We opened fire early in the morning. There's no danger to the forces. I'm not aware of a single instance of return fire. There's no enemy, no weapons." And in fact, the soldiers refer to their operations as Operation Salted Fish, which is the Israeli version of the children's game Red Light, Green Light. You know, like the game in Squid Games where you play red light, green light, and if you accidentally move during a red light, you get shot. But if this is the first you're hearing about any of this and you're a little confused, that's understandable, because when I looked this morning, even though this blatant war crime is headline news in Israel, nowhere in mainstream US media could I find this story being reported. But y'all, this is headline news because this is a breakthrough in genocidal technology. I don't think even Mustache Man ever came up with anything quite so extravagant for exterminating people. So what's going on? Well, first you need to understand that since 2006, actually, Israel has been slowly starving and malnouring Gazans by not allowing enough food in, which is part of why there's armed resistance in Gaza to their occupation. But in the last 4 months, no food has entered the walled off Gaza Strip whatsoever, meaning that food is now completely depleted and people are starving, starting with the children and the babies. They are starving to death. Pretending like mass starvation is not their goal, Israel and the US set up the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a shadowy group largely staffed by militant mercenaries, which operates only 4 food distribution sites for the entire Gaza Strip. Thousands or tens of thousands of Gazans desperate to feed their families arrive daily to collect food from these sites. And in the past few weeks, 549 people have been killed and over 4,000 wounded trying to get aid from these sites. Typically, Haaretz tries to cast doubt on these casualty figures by referring to the health ministry as Hamas-run, but I trust Palestinian reporting and journalism thousands of times more than I trust the reporting of war criminals. But it's instructive to look at how war criminals are telling on themselves. So the pathetic attempt at plausible deniability for war crimes here is the idea that the IDF is only firing at people who arrive at these centers before opening hours to prevent them from approaching, or after the center closes to disperse them. But as Haaretz pointed out, many of the shootings have occurred at night, so it's possible that the civilians couldn't see the boundaries of the designated area. Also, after a year and a half of genocide, I don't know, all Gazans might not have functioning watches, and Israel routinely has been cutting all cell reception to the Gaza Strip, so even those who have managed to have a cell phone survive might not have any reception or a way to check the time. Not only that, the centers don't clearly communicate when they're going to open, or they announce one thing and change it later, which really seems like a deliberate trap to have some sort of flimsy excuse to execute people for arriving too early. The other flimsy pretense at deniability is the idea that these attacks are supposed to be warning fire, either to push people back or stop them from advancing. But lately, one soldier says, firing shells has just become standard practice. Every time we fire, there are casualties and deaths. And when someone asks why a shell is necessary, there's never a good answer. Sometimes merely asking the question annoys the commanders. The soldier goes on to speculate, if it's meant to be a warning shot and then we see them running back to Gaza, what was the point of shooting at them? Genocide. Genocide was the point. And my message to this soldier and all the soldiers interviewed in this article is your little whistleblowing will not protect you at The Hague. It was well established at the Nuremberg trials that just following orders is no defense for committing war crimes and enacting genocide. Your talking to a journalist does not atone for killing civilians desperately trying to seek food. Your only legal and moral path forward is to lay down your arms and refuse to serve. and dedicate your life to justice for Palestinians. And I need y'all to understand that it's actually so much more horrifying than that red light, green light game from Squid Games, because these starving people are running not just past one turret, but past live fire with everything imaginable. Heavy machine guns, grenade launchers, mortars. As one soldier said, it is a killing field. These people are running into a battlefield like it's the Battle of the fucking Bulge, like it's World War I trench warfare. They're running into tank fire and machine guns for a bag of flour to feed their children. Mustache Man never orchestrated a fucking spectacle of extermination like this. But a lot of people in the US are never going to hear that this is happening. And it's being orchestrated by a US-run humanitarian foundation, and the weapons being provided are all paid for with our taxes, and yet Western media is not seeing fit to run this as like a headline news story. So I need y'all to figure out how you're going to reach all those people in your life who don't pay close attention to Gaza and tell them about the Squid Game shit going on. And one group I want to highlight that's causing a ruckus and getting people's attention is JVP Chicago. They're doing a hunger strike. They're on day 11 of their hunger strike. Please follow JVP Chicago and engage with their content to bring awareness to that action and to what's happening in Gaza. Then figure out how you're going to spread word of this story and let everyone you know about the Squid Game style killing field that is unfolding in Gaza and paid for with our taxpayer dollars, because mainstream media is not going to do that for you.